Hi, it's Dr. Parikh. So today I'm going to go over, or right now, I'm going to go over Blackboard for this course. So I'm going to just kind of show you, so I use Blackboard quite a bit. I put lots and lots of resources and assignments and folders. And so to some extent, just expect that you're going to have to poke around a little bit until it makes sense to you. Early on, students often say that they feel really confused in my courses, they have trouble finding things, but by the end, I get feedback specifically saying, I really liked how organized you were, and I liked how Blackboard was set up. It was so easy to find everything. And so I really struggle because then I don't know how to make things easier, because by the end, people just say, no, I figured it out, and it was good. So the best I can tell you is if you're having trouble finding things, for one, I sometimes link to things in a couple different ways, so it can feel like, oh, but I thought I'm confused. I thought I got to it a different way last time. Maybe you did. But also just have faith that if you poke around a little bit, just like, watching your parents try to struggle with a new app on their phone, or perhaps you struggling with a new app on your phone. After a while, you eventually figure it out. So this is the home page. It brings up the announcements. If you go to getting started, I have sort of basic information about what you're supposed to do, especially if this is your first online course. Course information, I link to the syllabus here. I also link to, that's linked to my other class. I really need to update that. If you click on syllabus from here, though, it goes to the correct syllabus. So hopefully I will remember to update that. And things like the university calendar, just good things to have access to. Then instructor information, I give a little bit about me. These are also outdated. Great. So the office hours here are wrong, but the link here is still updated. And the phone number in office is correct. So syllabus takes you to the Google Doc of the syllabus. So that means if I realize something's unclear, if I want to change something, I can pop in and do that very easily. And then everybody who accesses it after that will see the most updated version. If you want to meet with me, if you want to schedule an office hour appointment or something else, you can go into, so it says meet with Dr. Parikh, and it just goes, I have a little link to my Google Calendar. And so my office hours will be here. Sometimes I'll open up extra office hours or move. You don't have to have an appointment for office hours, but I always recommend it for a couple reasons. For one, that way people who want to meet with me can look and say like, oh, wow, she's really booked this other day. Maybe I'll come today instead. But also, sometimes I have personal or family emergencies and I have to leave campus quickly, or I have to change my plans. Maybe I get a meeting, the week before that I didn't know I would have. And so when I do have to change plans, if you just have in your mind that you're coming to office hours, I have no way of knowing that. But if you've made an appointment, then I can try to look and see who I'm meeting with and email to let you know that I'm not going to be there. Also, if you had an appointment and I have to move it, I'm going to be very generous in finding times to meet with you. I'm going to try really hard to accommodate your schedule. So that's meet with Dr. Parikh. My grades, not much shows, they show this much at least. But it'll show you all of the assignments and your grades so far and your overall grade in the course. I'll probably take off this weighted total because everything is just straight points. That's why I use 1,000. And then calendar, this is different from our schedule. This is the Blackboard calendar, and it's going to show you when things are due. So if we click on it, why is it not showing any of my due dates? I may have to go in and fix some things. Maybe my assignments have the wrong year or something. But this should show you where all your assignments are, and you should be able to click and go right to it. Let me look at they're at the end of the day, that's why. So if I were to scroll all the way down, because they're all just sort of at the end of the day. As far as due dates go, I don't accept late things, but I consider, I don't cut off hard at midnight. So if you turn something in at 2 in the morning, I'll typically take that. If you turn it in at like 9 the next morning, that's more likely to be considered late. But I consider sometime that evening. So under course content, we've got the weekly modules, and you can click here, so down here, or up here. Mine looks a little different because it's the instructor view. But you can get to the weekly to-do list that creates a checklist for, that is still linking to the old one. I'm finding all sorts of fun things. because I really liked the format of my writing and psych class, so I kind of copied it over and then just edited from there. But there's a few fun surprises. If you see something that links to something that seems wrong, I would love an email letting me know that. But you can go in, and I've tried to give really brief titles, just kind of give you a sense, and it says which learning module goals we're looking at. You can click on readings and resources, so anything that's here in your textbook is not going to be listed there. But I've linked to everything else. Either these are all things that are just available on the web. Sometimes when there is a journal article, I'll link through the library. Videos, if it's something on YouTube, I do it on YouTube. So for example, I use a lot of TED Talks, but I usually use YouTube's version because it's a little nicer to put into Blackboard. Sometimes I link to something, I just have a link to a video if it's not through Blackboard, or I'm sorry, through YouTube. So yeah, the readings and resources is going to have most of the things you need. This will have more when you come to it because it's going to have things like this video. So I'll add in those videos, but again, you can always use, not that one, you can always use the weekly to-do list for our class to help make sure that you're getting everything. And I've got either estimated reading times, I have the actual times of videos, and I'll probably go back and put in, as I make each video, I've got kind of a target time, but I'll go back and put in the actual time that it took. So you've got the readings and resources, and then the learning activities are the things you need to do. I typically have each assignment live somewhere else that I'll show you, but I link to everything here. You can also click through the calendar to get to everything. So that's weekly modules. We've done weekly to-do list. Now let's look at reading circle groups. This one is, again, still old. I actually may take this link out completely. But at a minimum, so if I were to assign smaller groups for the discussion board, that's where I would do it. So I would tell you which groups you were in. And it's a Google Doc because as people add and drop the course, sometimes groups need to change. So the discussion board, each discussion tells you exactly what's expected. So the first one is, but it only tells you on the last page. So I'll tell you what I want to see. I really like to try to make things feel personal in my online classes. That's one of the reasons I'll assign smaller groups sometimes because it creates that more personal feel. So I tell you I want one post by Tuesday and 2 responses by Saturday. And then because we interact online so much through Blackboard, I give you bonus points if you upload a profile picture. So I want to see a photo as part of your discussion post, but I also will give you extra points if you upload a photo. And you can see I've got a photo here as part of my Blackboard profile. And so that'll show up when you have discussion posts. And it's just, again, to help you feel, I think photos help people feel more connected to each other. Oh, that was not necessarily what I wanted to do. The next one is rules for the discussion board. So here you've got 1 post by Thursday and 2 responses. Sometimes there'll be something special. So for example, your character choice. I want you to post 2 responses on other people's boards. And then I also want you to go back to your original post and say which of the 2 characters you're going to do going forward. But usually it's just 1 post and 2 responses. And I try to spread them out through the week. Because the idea is everybody's posts will be up by a certain day, so then you have a couple days to find a good time for you to respond. Yeah, so that's all the discussion boards can be found there. Or if I were to go into, for week 1, if I go into week 1, learning activities, I could click on introduction and it's going to take me straight to that board. The downside is that it's not going to show, so if I click to post, it will there show me the directions for what I'm supposed to do for this board. So there's lots of different ways to get to everything. Now under this, I have a few different types of assignments. So I have everything you need for the autobiography. And so again, if I go back to module 1, I can click here and get to my autobiography. Or if I click on autobiography, I have the assignments fully there. So, and I can click into them. Same thing with character analysis. This one actually is just the final paper because everything else leading up to it happens through discussion boards. I think that these papers are really interesting and fun to talk about. And it's nice because it lets you discuss things in an applied way without people having to self-disclose about themselves. You can talk about characters instead. So I make a lot of that. My hope is that it becomes sort of a collaborative space where people are helping each other think of good ideas for their papers. And then your final paper gets turned in here. Advocacy project will also have a component in the discussion boards where you're planning, again, with that idea that it's really cool to hear other people's ideas and to maybe help each other create better projects. So these don't have to be huge projects, but you do need to create a rationale. Why did you choose to do this? And include citations from the sources. And then you'll do the actual project and kind of report back on what exactly you did. So if you did a social media campaign, you would include photos of all of those posts. If you wrote a letter, you would attach the letter. If there's different things you can do. Quizzes. Right now they're hidden. They will be visible to you. Typically, I just have everything visible at the beginning and you can do them whenever you want. My plan is that the quiz questions will mostly come from this sort of textbooky thing that we have, because it's the most scholarly. If there's I don't know what just happened to my video. I'll see if I can pull it up again. But if there's a journal article, I might include some questions from that. But the quizzes, again, they're not meant to be terribly difficult. There I am. That's nice. I have no idea what happened. There's also a link to the lecture slides. Oh, I need to make that go out to the outside world. There we go. So the lecture slides that I put together some brief notes. And again, I try to do a lot of linking and I use the correct citation for each of these again also. So those will be that's what my lecture videos are going to be based on. I may not go through point by point in my lecture videos, but that's where you can go through and kind of get a sense of what I focused on. I also, just in general, have writing resources because you do have to find at least one article and talk about it. So I include the resources that I make for writing in psychology. There's also online tutoring available, counseling resources I link to, Jennings Library. So it's really just kind of some other resources and stuff that I throw in near the end. So that's Blackboard. That's how I try to have, let me see, do I have any around here? Blackboard's help function is sometimes helpful. You can also Google for problems, and a lot of individual, universities and libraries put together help things. And then I also have some help videos that I've put together. So for example, let's say you just go over to my YouTube page. That's not helpful. So if you come to my YouTube page and look at playlists, you can see Blackboard how-to, where I try to put all of the videos that I have on common things that people struggle with for doing in Blackboard. I think that's everything for Blackboard. If you are not familiar with Blackboard and want help with anything, let me know. I'm really happy to help, especially if you can come in for office hours or make an appointment. Thanks. Bye.